welcome to the show Rob O'Neill. Hi, Rob.
Hi, Lynda.
From the Food For All Northumberland, and York Bell-Smith, the program director and midday host of Classic 107.9. And welcome, York. And this is kind of interesting. The tables are turned.
The tables are turned, and it's an honor that we get to be your first guests on the new show all around the town.
Thrilled to have you here today to talk about an exciting upcoming event that it's going to happen in the next week or so. So, Rob, I thought maybe we'd start off just with a bit of an overview of the Food For All warehouse, you know, the program, what it does for the community, who you serve, and maybe some insight into the issue of food security.
Sure. Food For All warehouse has been around since 2004. As you well know, we have a history going back all the way to 2004, and it's 100% municipally funded, so the County of Northumberland funds the operation. And currently we're located at 600 William Street in Cobourg in the old craft research building, as a lot of the locals know it. Currently we have about 135 different agencies accessing product from us at the warehouse, and those are local food banks, school nutrition programs, and any not-for-profit agency that has distribution of food as part of what they do.
So you do a lot of community lunches and that type of thing, right? That access the warehouse.
So the food banks obviously give out food to an individual to take home and feed their family, and then there's other local community meals, whether it's a lunch or whether it's a dinner, all throughout Northumberland County. There's different things that we help to support.
Yeah, and so that's really important for people to understand that you're kind of a food distribution warehouse, and you distribute to the food banks, who then individuals go to get their.
Right, so our focus is exactly that, on the agencies, not on individuals. But with that being said, we still have people pretty much every week that stop into our location looking for assistance, and we'll always try to provide one-time assistance to the individual, and then we have a list of all the different places they can go throughout Northumberland County for ongoing assistance.
And how many food banks do we have in the county today?
There's 14 food banks.
Wow. That's incredible to think we have that much throughout the county. And how many families and individuals do you think utilize those?
The food banks themselves help on average about 2,100 individuals every month, and about a third of those are children under 18. So about 700 of the users at food banks are children.
Now last year, I think I read you put out about 1.2 million pounds of food and personal care items.
Actually, last year was our biggest year, and it was 1.6 million pounds.
Oh, geez, I guess I read the wrong, I Googled the wrong number.
Yeah, so it's funny because that was our single biggest year of distribution in 2016.
Wow.
And it seems every year it seems to grow a little bit, and it's unfortunate that the need continues to grow, but we're just fortunate that the municipality recognizes that need is out there, and we're able to provide some assistance to people that are in need in our local communities.
For sure. I guess the one other thing I should ask you is, where do you get your food and product from? So just so people understand that.
We're affiliated with the Ontario Association of Food Banks, so a lot of the product that we get comes through that source, and there's a lot of corporate donors that donate into that stream, and then we're able to access. We have our own 5-ton truck, and we have a smaller cargo van, so we're able to go out and pick up large donations. We also get some donations locally through some corporations locally, and then there's agencies and individuals, and we'll hear about this in a little bit, that do food drives for us as well.
Yeah, so York, this is one thing you're getting involved with, and last year you spent a little bit of time in the rain and the
cold, and the wind and the cold,
do a restock for the Food For All warehouse, and today we're going to talk about your second annual Classic Restock. So, you know, how did you get involved, and talk about next week's event?
Next week, yeah. Well, we were looking to do something, you know, post-Thanksgiving, before Christmas, sort of to get the community together to help out, and there was thoughts about doing a toy drive or something along those lines, but then I thought, no, why don't we do a food drive and do a marathon? And I felt really ambitious at the time, and I said, why don't I go in front of Victoria Hall, sit there and broadcast for 36 hours and do a food drive? And I thought, okay, well, who do we do this for? You know, there's so many different food banks in the county. And then it was a really easy choice with Northumberland Food For All, because they take care of everybody in the county. So no matter where you are in the county, you're going to be able to benefit from this event. So we threw it together really quick. It was somewhat last minute last year. We have a little bit more time this year doing the second one, and pulled it off despite the weather, despite being blown away a couple of hours before. So the 2 hours of cleanup at the end was not counted on, but it still was 36 hours. And it was a huge success. I mean, the response from the public in Northumberland County was absolutely amazing. Even in the overnight hours, people were coming by 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. People were going to the bank to do deposits after work. We'd go into the trunk and bring food over. So it was a huge success. Everybody was so generous and so great, and I can't wait to do it again.
So how much food, can you remember how much food you raised last year and how much money you raised?
We raised almost 4,000 pounds of food and $8,500 in cash.
So that's fantastic. And so, you know, that all went back to the warehouse. So last year, how did you put that out to the community?
As soon as we brought the food back to the warehouse, we basically have volunteers that are able to sort all of that product, and then that got distributed to all the agencies that we assist. So it was probably within a couple of weeks, all that food would have been sent out to our community. And then the money, because this all came together so quickly, the money that came in was kind of a bonus to our operation. So we tried to figure out a way to distribute the money as equitably as possible. So we took all the hunger counts from all the local food banks, and basically they got their proportionate share of the money. And instead of giving them the cash, we actually bought additional product, and then allowed them to kind of pick what they wanted and what would be best for their location. And so the largest food bank in Cobourg ended up getting, I think, $1,500 worth of the product. And then the smallest ones we guaranteed got at least $250 worth.
So that would be like Northumberland Fair Share got $1,500 because they service a greater amount of individuals and families.
And so Northumberland Fair Share actually has two locations, one in Cobourg and one in Port Hope. And so we took the count from each location. So Fair Share in Cobourg got a certain amount, and Fair Share in Port Hope got a separate amount, which worked out better for both of those communities.
And they could choose what product they wanted to have for their food banks?
Right. So we have a list of 10 things that we buy for the food banks based on the highest demand items. So we took, I think, 4 or 5 of those items off the list and said, this is what's available to you guys, and let us know how much you want, and we'll put it aside for you. We'll purchase that amount and have it available to you.
So one of the things, what are those 10 items, or can you give us some examples of those 10 items? Because as you go into, you know, the weekend, October 12th and 13th, right? Those are the dates for the 36 hours. You know, are there specific items you're looking for, or items that, you know, people need more? Yeah,
the top 10 items include things like peanut butter and tuna, so some of the protein type items, and then it's also items like pasta and pasta sauce that people can make a meal from, and we have canned pasta, which was another simple item that people can prepare quickly, and macaroni and cheese, things like that.
But one of the other things we were talking about before we started is the need for personal care items too. So you're looking for shampoos and deodorants and
toilet paper and things like that. And the way I always look at it is when people are struggling to put food on the table, they're also struggling to put other things, or to provide other things within their household. So when we first started, all we had was food available, and as we've expanded over the years, we've been able to get additional products into the warehouse, and the non-food items are a growing category as far as what people are looking for assistance.
So York, last year after you raised all the food and the funds, and then you went out, and I know on the county site there's a really great YouTube video of you going out and delivering that product. So what was that like for you?
That was an incredible experience to be able to see that firsthand, to go to the different food banks outside of town. You don't expect there to be a food bank in Bewdley, but there is. But Rob and I, we loaded the van up, and we drove around, and we got to see the people and talk to the volunteers that organize these food banks, and got a sort of a bit more of an insight into what their needs are and what kind of clientele they have coming in, which is really good to know, especially for doing this again, because now I can focus a little bit more when I'm on the air talking about it, exactly what the need is and what impact it has. I got to see that impact firsthand, which I don't see down there when I was in front of Victoria Hall, and you don't see it when you're walking down the street, but I got to see it when I got to go to these food banks, and it was really a heartwarming experience for sure.
So what time are you starting this year with the restock?
This time we're going to start at 8 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, October the 12th, and go right through until 8 p.m. on Friday, October the 13th. Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th.
And I'm promising better luck with the tents at the end of it all.
And you're really hoping that it will be a little warmer. And
Just a little warmer.
Not so, we had a fair bit of rain and wind last year, but you were very brave to stay out there, and I know lots of people dropped by and dropped off their food and funds and coffee.
The support for me was really nice too. Lots of coffee. I couldn't drink it all. Just cups of coffee kept arriving. But bringing me clothes and blankets and gloves and hats and stuff. Anything to keep warm was absolutely fantastic and much appreciated.
And the people dropping by were, got into conversations with you. And certainly I saw Jennifer Moore was there, the CAO of the county, and Lisa Horn dropped by. And I imagine you'll try and do that a little bit. And Rob, you'll be down there.
They'll all be back again this year too as well.
Are you hoping to highlight any of the food banks that might, also
Absolutely.
receive some of the products. So.
Absolutely, we'd love to have representatives come down, have a chance to chat on air about it, and just get that message out again. What I saw last fall, going to the food banks, they can get that message out to everybody as well.
And I think the amazing thing about the food banks is the individuals that actually work at the food banks or volunteer at the food banks, because that's the other word we should get out there. And most of the food banks are run by volunteers. They're so dedicated to supporting the community and making sure they can help the families and the individuals in their area. And as you say, we have 14 food banks in the county, which is a county our size. I know it's large, but that's incredible. So
I had no idea there were that many food banks in Northumberland County before we did this last year. That was the biggest eye-opener for me and really made me feel that this is definitely the right thing to do. We chose the right place, the right organization to support with this, especially right after Thanksgiving too,
Yeah, for sure. They got to restock the shelves after Thanksgiving, and it really helps. And then, our food banks start running low, but they're trying to get ready also for the Christmas season. And the Food for All helps a lot with the Christmas hamper program as well. So.
And that's exactly, it's like back-to-back rush time of the year. So we're just getting over the hump for the high demand at Thanksgiving. And then we have a little bit of a lull, but last year's event really helped bridge the gap between the two events for us. So we're looking forward to doing it again this year.
So don't forget that the Classic Rock is going to restock, happens on October 12th and 13th. 36 hours of live broadcast and lots of coffee for York out front Victoria Hall. And really want to thank the town of Cobourg, I guess, for allowing you to be in there.
So supportive of this.
And it happens rain or shine. So.
Rain or shine.
Or snow.
Or snow. Don't be thinking that. It's
preparing for the worst, right?
No, don't. Yeah, I guess you prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Exactly.
And we ask everybody to think about digging deep, dropping off some food, personal care items too, as you mentioned, Robert. Yeah, is what's really needed as well as the food, and your donations as well. And now your donations, the check should be made out to.
County of Northumberland,
Okay.
and we can issue charitable tax receipts for any donation over $20.
Yeah, okay, so that's important, and for people to realize that tax receipt will come from the county, so anyhow, but yeah, and I think it's going to be another great event.
It is, absolutely. I think what's really cool too is that because they're municipally funded, all that, the cash that we raised last year, $8,500, all of that went to get product for the food banks in the county, which is really great to hear. There's no overhead coming off of that.
That's right, and I think the county certainly has been very dedicated to funding this program, and the impact of it is amazing every year. To think last year you put out 1.6 million pounds of food. It's in personal care items is incredible, and I think back when we first started. I can't even remember what we first put out, but anyhow, it's a couple of 100,000 pounds probably the first year.
So anyways, it's definitely grown.
Yeah.